Not long ago, Father Gabriel Amor, great exorcism of Rome, yielded his spirit to the Lord, but not without leaving a testimony of what he knew and what he'd seen. He was not in the least perturbed when he came into the presence of the evil one. Indeed, from the outset, at every exorcism, he would show who was in the driving seat. The first part of the rite that he would perform was one of his own invention. It was simply this, so that he showed quite clearly that the devil had to obey Christ present. Then he would proceed to try and ascertain who was in there. That is important in exorcism. It already gives a certain dominion, finding out the name. And so names would come out, usually of demons, but sometimes also of humans, because that can happen too, human demons. We have the famous case, now nearly 100 years old. It happened in the States. Father Theophilus had to do a very violent exorcism which lasted quite a long time. And it turned out in the end the Lord allowed it for our instruction, for us to be aware of what was out there and wishing us harm, against the church in particular. And it turned out that he had to do with this particular demon, the one the Lord was handling here, Beelzebub, Baal-zebub, it's the Lord of the Flies. And he was puzzled that he was there and not the top man, Lucifer. And it turned out that he was there by order of Lucifer. And in the tirade it went on, indicating that they had to obey. Indeed, there was a case in the strange life of Miriam, of Jesus crucified, little Lebanese, stigmatized Carmelite. She was allowed on 2 separate occasions, periods, 40 days, to be possessed. And we notice there a curious little aside. When the bodily movements started, because they go out of their own person in their movements and control, the devil himself was obliged not to lift up her habit, because the demon was obliged to say, our boss will not allow that. She has not ever sinned against modesty. So there is order. And it turned out in that particular exorcism that the order was perfect. It's in reverse, but they are, as the best army of all, subservient, and they obey. And that's how they work so well. It was, in passing, a lesson to us. Now, with regard to this gospel, it's linked with the first reading insofar as we have to do with what can actually bring us in contact with the demon. St. Paul gives a list: unseemly talk, waste of the gift of speech, in talking about fornication, impure things, even unseemly jokes. And so we need to be aware, especially as we try in Lent to see what needs to be weeded out in our soul and in our day, to be aware that it's not indifferent what we allow to be around us. The quality of radio has gone down, not only the quality of proper radio, but also that of the light shows it's quite indecent. The songs out there are ever more explicit, vulgar, and nasty. So just to be exposed to that already is a choice, which has its consequences. And it's part of a culture. It wasn't immediate. I remember as a child, it was the tail end of the metamorphosis between classic and modern. And if you older ones remember, there was a period when the words were still important, the melody was a melody, harmonized and well executed quite often, going always more modern, but still music. And then we had the gradual change. The big impulse in the 60s in Britain was the Beatles, but there was the American influence. Eventually, the Beatles went off into the drug atmosphere and started a style. Now that style was not indifferent, and by giving them power, both people and possibly demons were also giving a huge pulpit in which to preach a new gospel. Now, as time went on, it became more obviously evil. You may remember how in the years that followed, the Rolling Stones gave a new image which was hugely taken up by the youth. Now, they did not smile. That was a new invention, and they looked deliberately ugly. And they're still having success. Now, it's not unlikely that that success is coming from the wrong side. They have lyrics which are odd, to say the least, and there are quite explicit demonic references here and there, it would seem. Indeed, on one occasion, Mick Jagger showed his tattooed body, and it was satanic. And he was somebody who epitomized this new scene, which was hugely popular among the youth, of rebellion. Rebellion is the bottom line of Satan's game. The fundamental sin was rebellion and pride. Way back. And this is the kind of thing that Mick Jagger would come out with, referring to his youth with the other guys. If a guy turned right in front of us, we'd smash his car up, block their way. We'd get out and smash the headlights. It would be a family going to the movies, and the kids would be screaming in the back of the car. That's what we did for fun. Fun? Do you know that Keith Richards, one of them, was interviewed not long ago, and one of his answers went in this vein: I hope I still have a while to live, because I know where I'm going on the other side. Do you realize what that's saying? He knows where he's going. And these are models to millions and millions of young people all over the globe. It is known that the devil realized very early on that to get to the youth, he had to get to the music. You cannot now go to a disco and come out clean. Be warned, you cannot go to a disco and come out clean. It's calculated to be involving you in the dark side. How different from the peaceful way that we were able still in Wales to mute ourselves, the old barn dances. And when I was doing teacher training, we had to be able to teach Tumpath Downside to the children, which was part of our culture. With regard to this, there's more to it than meets the eye. Beauty is the language of God. When one dies and goes close to the pearly gates, one of the first things that one perceives is angelic harmony that we cannot possibly describe or know on this side. What the demon is doing is making it as difficult as possible for us to be exposed to true beauty, because it has an effect on the soul and puts it in contact with something greater. It's meant to be that way. Even the Greeks knew it. Their word for music is musike, which simply means musike techne, the art of the muses. And so it is that when we engaged in creating an atmosphere in church, then we are doing something of what the angels are doing in heaven. And the devil doesn't like it one little bit. Do you know also, the devil in one exorcism came out with this: I can't bear the sound of Latin. That language has done me so much harm. And so it is that when one is aware of what it is and who it is who is trying to take away our contact with the divine through even the human means that we are waking up to what massively is going over in, right now, the Catholic Church. It's not just social. This morning, I was listening again to our own chant in the Abbey, all Gregorian, all unaccompanied, as it should be, because the Gregorian chant should not have an organ. And do you know why it works? It's the natural harmony of the voice. The natural intervals blend and work. Man knew it way back, and what has worked still works and never gets old. That's why, discreetly, the Church has always said, the official chant of the Church is the Gregorian. It's not ours to jettison just like that. When we come into the sphere of God, we use the things of God. What is more God's than his own language? Beauty, which heals and calms and gives him the space in which he and he alone is heard.